Okay, so I'm John Stanton. Started getting involved with the Minerals Council back in the days when it was the Chamber of Mines. It was based at Hobart. My first gig was to join what was called the Community Engagement back then committee, chaired by Harry Stackpole. I then actually join the board in 2012 and stood down off the board in 2025. On the board, I was chair of the Environment Committee. As part of that task, and also on the conference organising committee, and I was also delegated to be on the Mines Rehabilitation Trust Fund committee with MRT. I do remember very strongly the dinners were an event and a half. They were organised. I remember Tricia Owen, she did most of those events. They moved around the state between Hobart, Launceston, and the West Coast. It was a big event for the year. Basically, we knew everybody, and it was a leveller because you were having fun with the general managers of mine sites, etc. on the night. I remember on the dinners in Hobart, we had a senior politician who was going to be our guest speaker. I won't name names. It was a Friday night, and obviously he probably had, I'll say he to give that away, but he probably had quite a good afternoon at a bar somewhere. So when he turned up at the dinner to be our guest speaker, his wife, who was there waiting for him, immediately walked out, and his minders obviously poured coffee into him, so he got the speech done. But I don't know how he did it. But that was one night where I've never forgotten what not to do as when you're a guest speaker. Some of the dinners that I've never forgotten about. One was on the West Coast. There's a few times we went to the West Coast. One was 38 years ago. And that was a typical cruise on the Strawn Harbour. And of course, we went on the boat and it was daylight for a while, then it got dark. And I think after that, the captain went round and round in circles. Someone threw a line over the back of the boat and collectively caught a fish, which we didn't know what to do. We had to throw it back. But the cruise finished at about 11 o'clock. And some of us decided we needed some more sparkling water. So we went to the Hamers Hotel. And then after that, we tootled out to the Regatta Point, which of course we all know is the fisherman's pub. So here's these 5 people in black suits and ties turning up there after midnight, looking for another couple of glasses of sparkling water. And I think it's about 2 o'clock I decided I had enough. So I then decided to walk back to we'll stay at the Strawn Inn. So I walked back to the Regatta Point. It was raining. And my wife Sue was wondering where the hell I was at the time, so I turned up rather wet and bedraggled. And I do think I remember that Bob Calvert might have had a very slow day next day after having too many glasses of sparkling water. Anyway, that's how it goes. If you look back at the various directors we had as far as looking after the Minerals Council, Ian Satchell was my first person, then it was Dave Whitrow, and then of course Terry Long being the longest person running the show. Another great event I remember was the closing of the Hellier mine. So we all had to group in and meet up in Burnie. They had the steam train, Dominion Railway steam train was running from the old EBR station from Burnie down to the Hellier mine, and they put us on a bus and took us down to the portal of the mine. They had the last truckload of dirt come out from underground at the mine, and then they had the last post played on the bagpipes. That was on the bus back to Burnie after that event. That was one where I've never forgotten as far as a well-staged closing of the mine. And not to be outdone, then there was a celebration for Mount Lyell mining. I think it was 125 years of mining at Mount Lyell. And they cleared out what was called the 30 series workshops underground, and they had Don Burrows and his quartet playing underground. So we were all put on buses with pink hard hats and taken underground to the old workshops, and the acoustics were fantastic. For me personally, to spend the 12 years on the board of directors and to be involved with the various committees opened your eyes to a whole lot more stuff that you didn't know that TMEC was involved with, and the complex issues you had to do to collectively work through for the better of the Minerals Council and the better for the community was something I certainly will never forget. And been made a life member last year, something right off. So yes, it's been great fun being part of the Minerals Council, and attending this 40-year dinner will be a bit of a blast, and catching up with some of the faces that haven't seen for a while. Hopefully he'll be there on the night. Will be some great fun.